Hello and welcome to Top 7. My name is William Lebowski and we are at Daytona this week. I had some seriously high hopes for Daytona, and mostly because I put in twice the amount of practice. I had an extra week available to me because I wasn't going to be able to make the previous race before this, and so I had a lot of confidence going into it. Started out 45th because I was shoveling snow right up until qualifying, and just completely was out of my element come qualifying. But going into Daytona in the first couple laps, I knew that there was going to be some serious carnage, and I wanted to take things calm. I think looking back on it, I didn't stay calm enough. I could have stayed more safe. And granted, as you'll see, it really didn't have an impact on me this race. But it was a lesson that I had to learn elsewhere, but won't spoil anything else about future, but just needless to say, good stuff coming anyway. That's all we'll say about it. So I was real nervous about being at the back of the pack here. The field was actually a lot larger than I knew it was. I can see car number 53, so there was at least 52 other cars in this field. We started 45th, which is pretty much at the back. I thought it was out of 50, so I thought it was closer to the back. So I was very nervous about getting rear-ended or whatever kind of mayhem might happen. But as you can see, things generally paced themselves out pretty early. There were a couple of different things that just happened around me, and just really was mostly avoiding that. This really became down to a race of attrition, and that wasn't necessarily to not be expected, especially at Daytona. Speed is obviously paramount here, and so if you get any damage, that's going to really affect your race, and it's going to be to the point where you really have to think about pitting. And speaking of getting damage here, let's watch this Porsche number 23 as we come into turn 1 here. A huge move under braking, and what didn't get shown was we had just had some weird moves with back and forth with this guy, and I wasn't exactly sure what to do. I think this is where I was talking about my mentality could have used some work here, because I put myself down low and this guy came down, and I guess I could have seen him doing that to me. But yeah, so we're getting a little bit of contact with that guy, and we have some damage on the front end as a result. And there you go, you get the message pop up, and that was going to be a significant hindrance, where you can see we are right at the very start of the stint. We are on lap number 4 of a 3-hour race, and so the game that I'm playing now for the rest of this stint, the rest of the hour, is just going to be stay as clean as I can and focus on nailing what I can on the infield, because that's where I'm going to be able to make up the most amount of time. And for when we get into the banking, I'm going to have to stay in the draft. Luckily, it was early enough on where there were still cars around me. You can still see I'm up to 30th place now, and we're getting a little bit of a draft, but you can see already that I'm falling behind here. And this yellow BMW is going to have to deal with me now for the rest of this hour. And this hour, the rest of the hour, whatever we're going to call it, I was sweating the entire time, because me and this guy were having some nice battles going on. And you can see there's another car that's coming into play from behind, that orange Mercedes. This is another car I battle with over the rest of this stint, and I just needed to play it safe here. Here we have the low speed stuff and some nice braking zones. This is where going to be my opportunity to get as close to these cars' bumpers as possible, because again, for the rest of this hour, I just need to stay in a draft. That's all I'm thinking about now, is making time up on the infield, staying in the draft. That's the only thing I'm thinking about, and I am cool with giving up car position to cars as long as I can stay right in the draft. But quite frankly, I'm trying to hold where I'm at and fall back as slowly as possible, and not falling back any further than that. So here we are back on the banking again, and there's only so much you can do when you get damage at Daytona. We talked about that already. So I'm really just trying to do my best here and hold on for all I can, because we are moving up. That was the nice thing about this race. Like we mentioned earlier, there's going to just be people crashing left and right. It's a pretty fast track, meaning that the mistakes cost you much quicker than they will at a more technical track, even though there might be a lot more opportunities to get caught out. And here again, you can just see the car behind me make up time on me very quickly as we exit the chicane. We went from half a second, and he's going to be breathing down my rear end going into turn 1. And here is our orange Mercedes again. I thought that was a little bold for early in the race, but we had to let it fly. And you can see there, they don't have a rear wing, which I thought would be incredibly detrimental to them, impossible to handle. But it seemed to just be a positive for them, especially on these long straights, being able to take off. Even me with the draft not able to hang on behind them. So they just were able to take off. I thought it was pretty funny. I kind of can see now how that rear end of theirs got knocked off. They like blocking it and shoving it in front of people, so someone totally just ran into that car. So that was also something I needed to stay a little bit more cautious of when I'm speaking of my mentality going forward into this race. But that yellow BMW still behind us. Luckily that they were a very safe driver. And here we go. They're going to get a nice run on us. But the nice thing about Daytona is if you can just hold the better line, especially going through the banking, they're going to have a very, very hard time getting around you. And then especially considering how dangerous turn 1 is, they really have to nail it to get around you, and so that's something you're both thinking about. And I think that this guy definitely was not interested in losing his race in turn 1 at any point in time. This was the most bold that they would get the entire time. More than likely they didn't get too fed up, which is what I was expecting them to do at a certain point. I was really expecting them to get sick of being behind me and just kind of dive in, go for it, drive above their skill and my skill level. But they didn't do that. They were really great to race against, and surprise, surprise, that's what we're going to end up doing. You can see now we've jumped a ton of laps forward. I think we were at 12 last clip. Here we're at 22. And this guy still having trouble getting around me. And just the strategy of staying on the inside just makes it easy. Daytona is a big boy track. You go real fast, but there are still some fundamentals that are still applied here, and if you can make yourself take the inside line, you'll have great success. And so yeah, we're able just to keep our car in front of this other car behind me, this yellow BMW. And this race, as you can see, we've lost the car in front of us completely. So this race became at this point all about staying in front of our yellow car as cleanly as possible, because I would just continue to drop back as like a bag of rocks afterwards at this point. So I'm only going to be falling backwards, so I'm trying to keep my losses limited, because I will start falling backwards even quicker without having a big group of cars to fall through. So luckily we went through the rest of that stint here. You can see we were at 2:15, and now you can see we're down to 3 laps remaining of fuel. Down to 2 laps now, and this is where our pal is going to go make their first pit stop of the race. So that was an entire stint of defending. It was going to be really boring to make it into the video. Obviously, I think I probably left too much footage of it in anyway, but it was a great time, and I think that was a pretty rare experience just in iRacing, to have such close racing like that for such a long period of time. And here we go, we're going to have a minute worth of repairs from that rear ending that we had right at the beginning of the race, but now we have a fresh car, and I'm pretty excited about it, getting out there and being able to battle it out. You can see we came out in 30th position, so close to where we started. We started in 45th, so not exactly there, but much closer to the back than where we wanted to be, as we did get up relatively far in the standings. And it's at this point I'm starting to build an overconfidence. We're now moving up slowly and slowly up to 22nd now, starting to get faster and faster laps, and I'm starting to get a little bit more cocky at this point. Well, I guess I'm not to the point of being cocky yet, but I'm starting to get to the point of growing my confidence too far, overgrowing my confidence. And here we go. We can see my entry here is all wrong, and we lose it going into the chicane, making contact with the wall. That's going to be some pretty serious damage. I can already feel the car Definitely off center in its wheelbase, but beyond that, oh, I almost caused an incident there. Luckily, that pink, is that a Porsche? No, Ferrari was pretty heads up there. But here we go. We're making our way back into the pit stops a little early here than we needed to, and there we go. We're looking at 15 minutes of repair, and so I did sit and wait that out, and I was just going to funnel some laps. But here we go. We have a replay of what happened to me. I just hawked it a little bit too early, sent myself out into the wall. It didn't look terrible and bad, but the car was just uncontrollable at this point. I hit the gas, and immediately the car just careened. I did not turn. It just flew to the side, and that's the end of my race. A little bit of a disappointment, but we learned some lessons. Thank you guys for watching.